Welcome to the Filmistines, the podcast where we discuss all things movies. Join us as we dive deep into the latest releases, revisit classic films, and explore the art of cinema. Whether you're a film fanatic or just love a good flick, we've got you covered. From Hollywood blockbusters to indie gems, we'll be breaking down the storytelling, the cinematography, and everything in between. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready for some cinematic magic. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $20 tier grants the ability to request films for future episodes. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience. You.
And welcome back to the Filmistines, the fastest growing podcast in the multiverse.
Not this multiverse.
A different multiverse.
A different multiverse.
In that multiverse, we are
Successful? Rich?
In that multiverse, Twitter is not a toxic place to be. It is not corporate ridden and toxic cancel culture fucking nonsense. That's the place where we want to be.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't use Twitter, so I don't know firsthand experience or anything.
Same.
Although you can find us on Twitter at Filmistines, the Filmistines, for reminders of when the episodes go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, especially Mondays. Mondays are always the good days to listen to the Filmistines at patreon.com/Filmistines. I'm joined today by my corporate sympathizer friend.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, my corporate sympathizer.
Hello, my non-corporate sympathizer.
See, that's why we have good conversations, because, you work for the devil and I work for myself. And we have a super special episode. I don't know why I say every episode is special.
Every episode is special.
I like that. Today's episode is especially special because it is one of my favorite movies. Probably my top 25. Top 20 maybe. I'd have to track it out. I'm not sure. But it's also my dear friend who recently passed away's favorite movie. He loved this movie. He was really excited to show me this movie. He showed me this movie. I didn't know about this movie.
Yeah.
And he knew it was weird enough to speak to me on some level, and it certainly is. And it has something to say. He knows I like that. And I just remember how excited he was. And probably, it must have been early 2020 when I saw this. I had no idea it even existed before that. It came out in 2018. I watched it with him, and I had never seen anything like it. And I know that's a common response to this movie, is when you see stuff online or whatever, or if you watch it with someone, you'll often hear, "I've never seen anything like this."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm even seeing that. I'm even seeing those responses from Boots Riley's newest outing, I'm a Virgo, Amazon show, Amazon limited series. I think I think it's a complete self-contained long movie, basically, in the form of a show. And I'm seeing that over again with, I've never seen anything like it. And I think that's a mark of something that's kind of something you should go and see. Something kind of like how we talk about occasionally when a film is challenging. I feel like if you're into film, you kind of owe it to yourself to make time for that.
Yeah.
Whatever that film is. So with his recent passing, I wanted to cover this film in his name. And it's kind of a serendipitous thing that Boots Riley's other series other project just released. Thought that was kind of a sad irony in the matter, because it was just totally coincidental in all this. I recently rewatched it. I don't think you've seen this before, right?
No, I think you tried to make me watch it one time and
You fell asleep?
I fell asleep. I think we started watching it pretty late, so I made it through the first 5 minutes and was instantly out, so that doesn't count.
No, you gotta, it's probably late. We watch a lot of movies late. But this movie was already kind of special to me, but now it's, I guess, especially special. along with our especially special episode we have here for you guys today. What do you think about this movie? Not to put too much pressure on you, but I know you're pretty good about, just because I love it, you won't love it. I know that's kind of hard for some people to admit they don't like something when other people like it. When people they like, their friends and family and loved ones, when they like something, it's sometimes hard for people to shit on the thing they don't like your brother and how he likes the Matrix. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to tell him, and I know you are too, that the Matrix is ass.
I have no problem telling him Matrix sucks.
That's an easy one though.
Yeah, that is an easy one.
Now if someone comes at me and says pig is trash, I'm gonna, them's some fighting words. Just saying.
All right.
No,
Can't
you
wait
love
till
pig,
we
don't
cover
you?
Pig.
Don't you love pig?
No, I do. I liked it a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're safe there. Whew.
Yeah. You better watch it. Yeah, what do you think, man? It's a interesting movie. Whether you like it or not, you can't take that away from it, right?
Yeah. It was definitely different than a lot of films we've seen. And it kind of goes into this satire / sci-fi realm that I kind of like. But I don't think I would put this in my top favorite movies.
Sorry to interrupt. I should say I didn't even state the name of the film.
Oh, go ahead.
The name of the film is Sorry to Bother You by Boots Riley and led by Lakeith Stanfield. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Who's great. Love him and everything. He plays kind of a similar character in a lot of his stuff. He's got a very specific cadence about him, which what a lot of actors do, but I'm all for it right now, at least for the next few projects he manages to get to be part of. I know he's going to be part of the new Haunted Mansion. Is that what it's called? The reboot. That's a combination of remake and reboot. He's going to be part of that, so I don't know how he's going to do I don't know if they're going to take the same Eddie Murphy route where it's Eddie Murphy movie and that kind of cadence, but he's not a comedy lead normally, so I don't know or I don't get that feeling that he's just kind of weird to be that kind of lead. So I don't know, but what are you going to say?
With that, I haven't seen Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy.
You've never seen Haunted Mansion?
Nope.
Huh.
I've seen the, what was that, on Disney?
Yeah, it was a Disney movie.
Yeah, I saw the, what do you call that? The, like the promotion, the...
Back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day,
And you never saw it?
But I never saw it. And then on Disney Plus, I think I've seen the thumbnail, especially around Halloween time. And I'm like, oh, that's that Haunted Mansion movie that I've never seen. So.
That's a little bit of a miss. I feel like it's a pretty iconic film. I think it was inspired by, it's one of these weird movies that was inspired by the ride. The Haunted Mansion ride at Disney World.
Oh, okay.
Just like Pirates of the Caribbean and Future Tomorrow or something like that. The other Disney ride that they made a movie with George Clooney, which was the worst thing Disney ever put out. That's an interesting history about that film. We won't get into it here, but they tried to make it the next Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was just, so they invested a lot of money in it, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just big bust. I think it's called Tomorrow Future or something. Don't look it up. I don't even know how to look that up. I guess we'd go down the George Clooney route, but
I definitely agree with you. I haven't seen him in a lot of movies. I guess just Atlanta recently, and then this film.
Yeah. Which is his biggest thing, probably. Atlanta. Even after this, I would say Atlanta is his biggest thing.
Yeah, he's too chill to be in a comedic kind of... Again, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know, but the way you're describing it, he's like too chill. Kind of like Zendaya, she's too chill to...
Yeah.
She's too chill to be in the Spider-Man movies, really, but I like her, so...
Yeah, I hate her in the Spider-Man movies. I like her. I love her in Euphoria.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing in Euphoria.
Amazing. Yeah. Euphoria is better than Game of Thrones. And
ooh, that was said here.
Yeah, Euphoria, at least for the time being, Euphoria could get really bad, but I doubt it. It knows a little more about what it wants to be, I think. Mm-hmm. Has a complete vision, and it's also not as ambitious. So a vision with less ambition, I feel like, is a little easier to pull off. But that's neither here or there. That's just, this is now.
But back to the film, I'm not there yet on films that have something to tell me. I'm not quite there on having to think on a film, you know? I'm just there to be entertained. But when a film is trying to tell me something and I have to think about it, and then I have to go through the process of feeling and my anxieties and my existential crisis and all those things. So it's a lot. And I think this film is a lot on what it has to say. Not as much as, you know, something like Beau is Afraid, but still, it has to get my juices flowing. Maybe have to see it a second time for me to really get a lot of what's going on here. So, not saying I don't like movies that make me think, but I'm not there on fully appreciating movies that make me think. You know what I'm trying to say here?
No, absolutely. It's you know, the age-old thing that's we're so used to, every single one of us are so used to not using that like truly artistic kind of critical muscle in our mind. So it is kind of hard to get in that groove and to be on point for 2 fucking hours and to like piece this thing together, what you're trying to say, and try to, you know, think about what Boots is trying, you know, to get across.
Yeah.
And there's something to say about that too, about, are we trying to get, it's the whole separating the art from the artist. Once the art is put out there, I'm kind of mostly of the mind where it lives independent of the artist. It's a time capsule of that moment in their mind, and it's totally up for interpretation, just like anything else.
Yeah.
And so there's not, even if Boots goes and says something about this being a somewhat anti-capitalistic message, or at least some kind of exposure on it, not necessarily anti-capitalism, although I know he is a self-proclaimed communist and communist activist.
Oh, okay.
But communism, there's a place for capitalism in communism, which we're kind of seeing with China. I think they call it corporate statism. And so you can kind of say that they're not quite as the antitheses of each other like people kind of believe they are, because it's maybe more of a kind of like what we've talked about with like the triangle, where you move your little cursor across it, and you can if you want some of this, you can have to have a little bit less of this. If you want some of this, you gotta have a little bit less of this, right? Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what that triangle would consist of, but it would consist of things like sustainability and some kind of supply and demand and what's required, and you'd find communism and capitalism kind of living on that triangle. So basically a 3-dimensional spectrum of some kind, not them being the opposite sides of a coin or anything, you know what I mean? Like there's something a little more nuanced about this, and I think China is only continuing to prove that on some level. But there is a lot to take away from this film, and I do get the challenge, because I look for this in every movie. I look for some kind of bigger picture to every movie, and most of the time it's not there, I don't think. If it is, it wasn't. I'm just not gonna spend the time working through it. Sometimes it's obvious, like this one.
Yeah.
Right. Beau's Afraid, I feel like, is kind of obvious.
Yes.
The Joker, I think, is kind of obvious. These movies that deal with mental illnesses, I think, are normally pretty, like, just could not be more obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taxi Driver. I mean, that's where Joker came from. So tell me, what do you mean? What do you struggle with trying to work on that level? Not that it's difficult, because it's I literally just said, it's obvious a lot of times, and it's not. Sometimes the obviousness of it takes away from the genius of it, because it's just like, well, you're a little too on the nose. I think that's what people mean when they say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people use that wrongly also, by the way, oftentimes when they bring it up. What is it about those films that is challenging or whatever?
I think it's not the different types of films per se. I think it's just the media or the medium itself. A book, I have no problem reading a book, interpreting, analyzing, writing you a freaking essay, no problem.
Yeah. So you think there's a little bit of like a
but I think
conditioning at hand here?
Yeah, definitely some kind of conditioning or, just not used to it. I mean, you could say conditioning. In school, how many times did you watch a film and analyze it? Never. How many times was, film taught as an art form? Never. So it's difficult on that end, having to notice the cinematography and the colors and even how your characters are dressing.
Yeah.
Even that your characters are black or Hispanic or white or whatever they are.
Yeah, in that sense, it's kind of more complex because there's multiple layers all at one time, happening right in front of you versus like a book. You can take your time, really. You can reread, and I guess you can rewatch everything. You can go back, but it's much more. The movie's just gonna take off without you, unless you're fucking just abusing the remote and going back and forth and trying to piece it together, and then you're not getting the experience. All of a sudden, you're kind of ruining, because I think books are almost designed in such a way, especially a book that you should kind of tear apart and read back and forth in different orders and stuff, depending on what you're looking for. They're kind of designed to cater to that, whether you're trying to build a specific agenda or whether you're trying to live in the mind of the writer. I feel like there's just something much more personal and intimate about the written side of things, especially like in a philosophical sense, like for philosophers, I should say, because there's just, you can't capture the way someone says something on camera. So the visual language is necessary.
Yeah.
So that's one reason but it's also something it's harder to keep up with, especially if it's not English and you're not, or especially if it's not in your native language, because you gotta read the subtitles, and then like we were talking about in Decision to Leave.
No, I mean, for sure, it's a lot more intimate. And then, I've been reading for, I have read more books than I have watched movies, for sure. Probably double that, maybe until recently, I don't know, but these past couple of years I've watched way more movies than I've read books, and I feel so bad. But before that, I definitely have read more books than I've watched movies, so I'm really familiar with words. And then on top of that, you have your authors, you have sagas that you read the whole, Ender's Game series or Aragon. There's only one Aragon movie, but you have 4 fantastic books, so you're already intimate with the author right there.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense too, especially with your more philosophical writers, there's a much pointier point to it all, because in a movie or a video game, there's a lot, or TV show, there's many more moving parts with just the amount of people who you have to rely on. Especially as a director, you have to rely on your writers. You might be a writer, but you have to rely on your writers, and especially your camera guys, your DPs, your producers. Like, you have to please these people too at the same time. And so there's a little bit of a intrinsic kind of corruption that happens just with the creation of it, which I feel like in that sense, it makes these kinds of movies, and David Lynch and Ari Aster's movies and Robert Eggers' movies, it makes them so much more powerful that they, or exist in the form they do, because how did they convince these people to make this happen like this? It's like, it's really cool. I think that's one reason I've really been drawn to movies here in the last few years, is because it's such a real flash in the pan kind of artistic medium, because it happens. You start it and it just goes. It's not like a painting where you just sit there. Sure, you can pause the movie, but that's not the movie. You're
right.
Looking at a still all of a sudden, but when you let the movie go, it just happens whether you're there or not. It's a very passive medium in that way. But it's active in its own right. But like a video game or something, it breathes with you. A book breathes with you. You take your time, you read and reread. I bring up games really too, because there's a lot of reading in most games. And so
And there's also different learning styles.
Sure.
And it really bugs me when someone says like, "Oh, I'm a visual learner," or "I'm just this type of learner."
I hate that.
No, we're all it's a mix here. You know, it depends on what you're learning. You know, if you're learning some kind of software, of course you're gonna be a fucking visual learner. You can't read the menus. You got to see them. You got to see the software. So that's.
It's an excuse. It's a weird excuse that people like to just whip out there. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But I definitely think that when I'm trying to get something, a message, something philosophical, something that someone is trying to tell me, I do prefer to read it so I can read it over or think about the individual word or, whatever. But a film, it's so hard because you have words, there's dialogue, and then you have all this other like artistic elements to it. You have how they shot that scene, you have the characters, who the characters are, how close are they to you, how far away are they to you, or I'm blanking on more things right now, but it's a lot more that I'm not used to interpreting. So I think that's my issue with some of these films that are trying to tell me more. It's like, well, can I read the dialogue or can I read the script? Maybe that'll help me.
Yeah, and it won't. It'll probably only give you 20% of what's important too, which is the funny thing.
Yeah, because in books you get thoughts, you get the internal dialogue in your head.
There's a
you
much
don't get
pointier,
that in movies.
Yeah, there's a much pointier vision in books, and that's why we love books, and in all their forms, at least the good ones, at least the good books.
There's no bad books.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, I think there's obviously a language that's best expressed in each medium, or each medium offers a really optimal way of expressing ideas, and that's it's just one of the great things about art in general, and then just the great micro advantages each of them have.
Yeah. And then you have this director, this writer in a lot of film. Well, in some films, not a lot. In some films that are giving you this strong message or this, cool idea or however you want to phrase it. So there's already that. And now I am 100% sure that they are, smart people. So they're going to implement that into their artistic choices in the film. And that's where I'm having trouble kind of noticing those,
What? Maybe not notice, right? You notice it.
Or I guess putting two and two together, maybe? I don't know. I think there's some times where I don't notice it until someone says it. And I'm like, oh, duh.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it does sound like there's kind of an element of conditioning there, because I think it is kind of undeniable that the way we generally view films and the way films are treated by filmmakers is just not on the, this like high brow kind of high art concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of music is treated the same way, unfortunately, and a lot of video games, of course, and obviously I guess a lot of books too. You can just go to Barnes and Noble and see what's there, you know, and it's just, I mean, we've talked about it before. I think I can't remember what, and probably Beau's Afraid episode, about just what creativity is and what's required to get to the point, and then that's kind of the first step needed to create art on some level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to limit it, but there is kind of this gatekeepy thing that's necessary to, make sure the weeds don't get mistaken for the flowers or whatever,
right.
The stuff you want. Because there's a lot of weeds, and that's fine. Weeds are good on some level, but dandelions are beautiful. I love dandelions.
You gotta blow them.
You blow them, and then
that's it.
They fucking propagate and just keep spreading and take over the world, I guess. But you've said before that you're starting to develop that muscle.
Yes, I think so. God, I hope so.
I think so, right? I think so, but purely just based off of watching films with you, you seem to enjoy things that maybe you wouldn't have enjoyed 10 years ago.
I agree with that.
Or maybe a better way of saying it is you have more to say about the things you do enjoy.
You just gotta understand that I didn't watch stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can't place myself there. I don't really know. I just don't know.
I didn't. You know, I didn't watch stuff, and the stuff I did watch, I watched it over and over and over again. So I didn't even expand. Yeah, so it's a little hard to place.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is, and it's a really interesting kind of perspective that you probably are not unique in. That's very modern, and you can kind of place that and mold it to different mediums and stuff. And because how many people out there, not that you're even remotely this bad, this is probably the extreme case of people who just don't understand a medium, is how many people out there think video games still look like the first Mario or Pac-Man, you know?
God, I hope there's no one out there that thinks that.
There are people like that.
They just need to open their eyes for a second.
Yeah, you just need to pay attention to, like, for the brief second, just pay attention to your surroundings, you know? I don't want to say anyone.
Yeah, don't name names.
But I don't want to call anyone out.
Okay.
Because it's not a bad thing. But it is, I mean, it is kind of bad because it exposes your toneness and your tone deafness in society and how blind you are and how, like, stuck. I feel like it is a stuck thing because I feel like we've talked about it many times before, that here now and episodes back, where you just kind of, don't you want that next thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not that you should treat it like a fix in some kind of addiction, but you should always crave knowledge.
Yeah.
You know? Especially on an artistic level.
Definitely agree.
Don't you want to be, not that you want to be anyone, but don't you want to be well-rounded at the very least?
Don't you want to be non-Philistine?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that films and music, like you said, especially get a bad rep.
They do. Yeah, because I think gamers are aware enough, mm-hmm. or self-aware, are woke enough, in like the truest sense of the form, of the word, that there's a deep appreciation there. But yeah, I think music and film suffer from that greatly.
Yeah.
I hate that. And TV, of course.
And I've listened to music my whole life. You know, who hasn't? Weirdos are people who don't listen to music.
Yeah, it's weird. Even if you don't listen to it every single day, you know, but like if you can't find music you love, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. But I was like such an avid music listener. You know, I'm listening to music when I do stuff with headphones. I'm listening to music in the shower. I'm listening to music while I work. I mean, you know.
Go ahead and give me a favorite song right now.
My favorite song?
Off the top of your head. Boom. Don't think about it.
No.
Just one favorite song. Not your favorite song ever. Just something that'd be in your top 20. Go.
I don't think I have.
Go. Say it.
No.
Oh my god. Lame.
I can't. I have too many songs.
How about, maybe this is a better way to say it. Your favorite new song.
Favorite new song? Like new to me?
Yeah. Alright, we're done. Move on.
I don't know what it's called. You know, I've been humming it all day. It's that Hampton song, Handshakes in the Hamptons.
Handshakes in the Hampton. Oh, okay.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know who sings it. Nothing.
Good, I'm glad.
You know.
I'm going to ask you in a month, and if you say the same thing...
No, it'll change in a month, for sure. Okay. But what I'm trying to get at is, listening to music my whole life, didn't also see it as a art form, an expression form. You just sing the lyrics, and you know, you went through my emo phase where sad songs made me cry. I specifically listened to sad songs to make myself cry, but didn't think much beyond that until that rapper you told me, that who is it?
Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah, that was,
who won a Nobel Prize in Literature?
No. Maybe, I don't know. That was singing about him, like...
Wait, no, he won the Pulitzer Prize. Excuse me. Anyways.
That he was singing about, you know, how he was gay. And then when he came out...
Oh, Tyler, the Creator.
There you go. Yeah. You know, all these songs about him being gay or coming out. I don't know. I don't really listen to him. And then when he did come out or say he was gay, people were shocked. But I think you said it. You were like, if you would just listen to his music, you would have known the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, that kind of hit me. I was like, what? You know, I mean, you have a point.
Yeah, I think Jaden, is that Jaden Smith? I think people I think took it as a little bit of a joke, but it felt like from my perspective, I don't know their relationship. I don't even know if they know each other. Maybe he was just he just saw this moment to make someone's suffering of, having to tell people that, because it is, telling anyone anything is hard. And then, especially if you feel like you're going to be fucking judged for it. You know, I don't know about their relationship, but he came out saying that he was his boyfriend. And he was just kidding, but I think he was trying to make it easier for everyone that they're kind of, on a digital platform, they were holding hands to, kind of not let Tyler.
That's cool.
Collapse in any way, kind of revert back or just. So, and, it's just kind of a funny thing. I can't imagine time anyone giving a shit, but no one cared that Tyler is gay.
Yeah, yeah. If you care,
at the end of the day,
you should go care about other things.
You mentioned you like Lakeith's performance.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Tessa Thompson, Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, I thought all the characters were okay. I liked her character. I liked her kind of style and kind of fashion sense, I guess, that she had going on there, especially with her earrings. Those were hilarious. And I think that played a little bit into the style of the movie, which I kind of liked it. There were some, like, playful elements in the movie that I liked that kind of had that same style. Like when Cash is being, a telemarketer and he's calling the people and he's literally dropping in. Yeah. And so his, like, desk is dropping in and he's dropping in and, we get to see all these people he's talking to. So, I like that a lot. That was cool. But I think the weakest character is probably that lady. I don't know her name. She was one of the managers. She's the one who went up with him in the elevator. You remember her name?
She looked like a cross between Sarah Jessica Parker and Meghan Trainor.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. She did.
She sure did.
Let me see if I can find her name.
Yeah, she was lame as fuck.
Diana, was it Debauchery? But she didn't pronounce it like that. She pronounced it different, you know? So, yeah, she was so lame. I think she had some of the cringiest lines. It was just, I don't know. That's just not my style of comedy.
Well, I thought, so I want to say before I say anything is, Boots Riley came from a telemarketing background.
Oh.
And so I do think all three of those characters, the three kind of bosses of the first level of the telemarketing place, was very familiar, like very personal to him. I'm willing to bet that lady was someone he knew, someone he worked for, and she was this like weird ass motherfucker trying to build morale, and no one's gonna.
Okay, that part that was fine. I'm talking about like the elevator scene. So, Cash is now a power caller or whatever, and he's going on the elevator, and now he's attractive because he's coming up. Yeah, he's coming up. So now she's like, I guess, trying to flirt with him. I don't know. That's the weird part.
Yeah, and I guess that's the last time we see her too.
That's true.
That's what she ends on.
Yeah. But no, yeah, those managers are totally real.
And you can kind of see the different archetypes of the managers within them. You have you have your normal kind of sleazy corporate guy. You have the girl who's kind of this morale Nazi.
Yeah, trying to be your friend.
And then you have this guy who's probably been in telemarketing for the last 25 years and has some like kind of ghetto background, and because he looks kind of like a white Yakuza dude. Doesn't he? I can imagine him with a dragon tattoo on his back.
That's funny.
And he's just been there forever, and he's kind of the king and runs the place, but he's not actually the manager. And what do you think of Danny Glover?
I mean, he was okay. He didn't have much.
He didn't say much.
Yeah.
I liked him though. I like seeing him. I like seeing him everywhere. I like Danny Glover.
Yeah, he was fine for his 3-4 lines.
He taught Cassius the white voice.
That's true. I mean, he's very important in that sense. He taught him his white voice. I guess that was an element that was a bit confusing for me to grasp. I guess, I was thinking that they were making fun of white people because they're always trying to sound proper, important. I don't know, especially in the workplace.
Yeah. Which,
don't get me wrong, I think that's what everybody does. You try to sound different in the workplace than you do at home, and in a lot of other scenarios. But I think you said after the film how it wasn't exactly making fun of white people. It was more how confident, or how I think he said it too, how laid back they sound, how stress-free they sound. It wasn't necessarily white people. It was just the and you can elaborate more on this, please, but it's just more on the class thing. I don't need you to buy this from me. I'm still rich here, or whatever. So I think that was something that it was a duh moment after the film when you said that. I was like, oh yeah.
Okay.
He even said it.
Yeah, I think he said something along the lines of, it's not what white people sound like, it's what they wish they sound like, what they think what they aspire to sound like. There's a really great episode in Atlanta about exactly that. Not necessarily, I guess not exactly the white voice, but what whiteness is, and how whiteness is a concept. It's not something anyone has. It's what people are just kind of on the track to becoming, and it's just this like idea of infinity where you just approach it endlessly, and you kind of, to people behind you look like it. You look like you are white in that sense. And I think especially here, it's making fun of, I think it is, yes, literally making fun of white people, but more so, I think it's making fun of the fakeness you put on at work, like you just said. And it is kind of funny how people can just turn on the professional role like that.
Yeah.
And some people figure it out better than others, and you start to build this case for what they call in this film whiteness, and what we can kind of just call it, because it's just funny as shit. And that Atlanta episode's so good. Like at the very beginning, they're talking about the idea of whiteness, and they're like in a boat. I think it's two black guys on this like little pond, I guess probably outside Atlanta in the show, and they're talking about how the pond was put there to flood out a community of independent black folks from the colonial days, or like maybe post-revolution, where they were this independent libertarian black community, self-ran, self-contained, and the government flooded their community, which is hilarious in their show. And then they talk about how the pond is haunted with black people and stuff. And but
yeah, so I think knowing that would have helped with the rest of the film too.
Yeah, because I think first and foremost, it's maybe easy to try to think that there is a slant or some kind of funny slights towards white people here specifically, or even a specific time period or place. But I think it's entirely trying to poke at corporations and the corporate world and capitalism, and not necessarily things like Trump or even Obama when the film was written, or even the United States. And not saying anything really about black people or white people either, because the only funny race thing we get making fun of black people actually is when
when
they all want Lakeith want Cassius to rap, like rap, and you know
like,
what he says.
I don't rap.
And then he gives his rap, and then they're all like dancing and repeating it and stuff, and then the I guess like the manager of the power callers. That's what they called him, right?
Yeah.
The manager of the power callers, which doesn't have a name, which I don't know how I feel about that yet. I haven't thought about it quite enough, but he doesn't have a name. He's just beep.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know what I think about that yet. I just have not been able to wrap my mind around that. And then the guy who runs, or the CEO or whatever of Worry Free, and that's like the only thing we get that's kind of making fun of black people and black hip hop and stuff, and it's hilarious. And I always have that kind of that beat in my head, and I already totally forgotten where that was from until we rewatched this.
That's funny. Yeah, and then it's almost like he had to turn on his black people voice then.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's funny. It's a little bit ironic there.
It is ironic because when he gets on top, you got to put your whiteness in to get out of the bottom, and then when you get on top, you can be whoever you want. Once you're on top, it doesn't really matter who you are. Mm-hmm. Once you're there, until you get canceled by whatever marginalized minority you want to talk about this week. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, but so I guess that's one of our big themes here in this film, the white people voice concept, and that's something that I had to think about, after the film, about how everyone does it. You do it at work, you do it with your family, you do it with your friends, you do it with your friend's family. I mean, you switch. When you go to a store, you switch your voice, switch your tone, you switch everything.
It paints a much bigger picture than just a kind of anti-capitalism and a way to get your foot in some kind of corporate door. It starts to talk into the human condition. It's a small little sliver of what, and that's one reason I love this film so much, is because it focuses in so much on that, specifically on Cash's experience fucking at the what do they call it? Regal View, right?
Regal View, yeah. At
Regal View, and it's exclusively this experience, but this is such a familiar, mundane, thing that just happens in society. And I love that. I love that you say that.
Yeah, so it made me think about what's wrong with that. I do that. Every single day I go to work, I do that. Instead of telling people, hey, your shit is wrong, do it correctly, I have to say, oh, I found a discrepancy with your blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to say that. I want to tell them.
You got to turn your white voice on.
Yeah, I got to turn my white voice on and tell them discrepancies, not, are you an idiot? So I guess thinking a little bit further and having that moment with the film, they're trying to what's his name, Boots Riley. He's trying to tell us here that there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Just don't take it too far that you lose who you are. And we can kind of see that with Cash when he's in bed with Detroit, and they wake up and he immediately starts using his white voice, and she's like, no, ew, and don't use that shit around me. He's like, oh, sorry, like I forgot I was even using it. And having that, I hate that moment, that aha moment was after the film for me, because then I would have just hit so many more things that I didn't.
Oh man, this does require a second view.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying, and I love how he really doesn't take Boots Riley doesn't have a good guy in this. He makes fun of everyone in kind of a South Park way, because, it starts to make it look like Glenn from The Walking Dead, Stephen Yeun, I think his name. Is it got an N at the end?
Yes, Yeun, yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Yeun and Tessa Thompson's Detroit. What's his name in Squeeze in Detroit? They you could kind of start to see maybe that they are the good guys. I guess they're kind of, they're the activists, and you kind of want to root for the activists today, I guess. But then you especially see that Tessa Thompson's character Detroit is maybe being made fun of the most when we see her art show.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe Boots Riley just hates all of his characters. He just is making fun of everybody, you know? But
I mean, even with her, she has this white people voice too when she's doing her performance.
Oh yeah, and that was real slick because we were real far away. We didn't get to see it very much. You know, she was talking to those people way far away, and she comes over to see Cash, and she's got her normal voice, and
then she goes back, and it almost sounds like an accent.
Yeah, she does. It's like British or maybe.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't quite put what accent she was trying to be here because I know she's talking about Africa, but that didn't sound, Swahili or whatever. So I was like, you know, but there was a slight accent there that she was putting on the show, and I'm like, okay, so everybody's putting on a show here.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's kind of important that you say that exactly. That they're all putting on a show, and she's literally putting on a show, and she's got this performance art piece where she's saying this nonsense, and I think it's important that it's just nonsense because it just tells you, it just taps into this absurdity of just everything that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and we spout so much nonsense at each other. I wonder if we could just record ourselves for 24 hours, especially people who work in like a corporate situation.
Oh my God.
And how much of the day do they spend talking about just nothing? And her obsession with Africa is, of course, just perfect because she's nothing. She's American, or she's, well, I don't know where she's at, but I mean, I'm going to, from my point of view, I feel like she's American,
yeah.
Especially her name is Detroit. I'm going to think America for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an important point. I guess her parents wanted to name her something American. That's right. And then they named her Detroit. I think that's what she said when she met Squeeze. And she's obsessed with Africa, and she has no roots in Africa. She's American, and that's a funny thing that does happen a lot in like with black artists and stuff. They, especially 2D artists and sculptural people, they tend to want to tap into this into I guess black roots, right? Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah.
That's pretty common, I feel like. I don't know if that's, I see it a lot on TV, but I don't know if that's just they're trying to play for a stereotype, but I've also known several people to do that. And it's just, I mean, for one, I guess first and foremost, it's derivative as fuck, and you're not saying anything in that because you're not African.
Yeah.
You're American or whatever. If you are African and from Africa, congratulations. Please.
Congratulations.
But people who it's and I've heard non-Americans, like especially Europeans, supposedly make fun, or I guess I've heard them like online or whatever. And I had a friend who went to Europe and some of the countries on the south side of China, and especially the European countries, when he would talk to people and stuff, they all made fun of him. All the friends he made in Europe over the course of the couple months, they made fun of him about how Americans have this weird tendency to identify themselves nationally, or I should say, I guess even ethnically, with like where their great grandfather came from, great grandpappy came from, or grandmother came from. And it's just like, okay, American Italian, we hear it like it's nothing
all
here,
the time,
right?
All the time.
Or African American,
yes.
Or American Mexican, whatever. But you're not. You're not German American because your grandparents came here in 1750. You're not. That's not how that works. I'll give you one generation removed, all right? If your parents came from Italy and they had spent many generations in Italy, all right, you get there's one generation that gets to be called Italian American. Your kids though, American, my son. All right.
Yeah.
Like I hardly even give them that though, but I'll meet you halfway.
Yeah.
But it is, and I just remember him telling me that, and it's not, I wasn't surprised at all because I've always thought it was a little silly, especially African American, because that's recognized on the level of documents, right? Where you sign out your shit, and a lot of times they'll say Caucasian, Hispanic, African American.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck is that? What?
Like, I mean, on the medical document, that makes sense.
No, it should just say black.
Well, okay, yes, you're right. It should.
You know?
It should. Maybe they're trying to eliminate a block here. You know, they don't want to say African American and black. Maybe they're just like, all right, whatever, put them all together.
Or Black American. If you want to say a nationality in that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm African American is not a race.
That's also true.
You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with that. I don't give a fuck, but it's just weird.
They don't put it in the race column, do they? They put it in the ethnicity column.
Still, ethnicity and race, same thing, right?
Well, I know that there's a race column, and that's where you have, I don't know what you have there, but you have
stupid.
You have white for sure, but you don't have anything, Hispanic or Latino or anything there. But then in the ethnicity, and hopefully I'm not getting the two confused, then that's where you have the Hispanic, African American, Caucasian. So, it's a bit confusing to me because I have to check mark white in the race, but then I have to check mark Hispanic in the ethnicity. It's like, but I'm not white though, So it's just funny.
Yeah, sometimes they'll say white, non-Hispanic, right?
Yeah. So what does that mean?
I don't know.
I think that's in one of I went to a doctor like a few weeks ago, and I think that's what it says on my medical thing where it has like my name, my birth date, and then it says white, non-Hispanic. And I'm like, should I tell him something about this? Doesn't matter. I just left it, but
unfortunately, it doesn't matter. But it is gonna be endlessly silly till the end of time. But I guess the African American one's always been it's the one that's just like it's completely misused. African American is a nationality that just can't be.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying.
It's just like calling someone an Italian American.
I don't know. Maybe people want to explain why they look slightly tan, or
who fucking cares?
Doesn't have blonde hair. I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely weird. And even when, I've gone to Mexico a couple times, and I was born in Mexico, but even my family in Mexico call us Americans because I lived here my whole life. Yeah. So they're like, well, you guys are Americans. Yeah. Like, am I? I don't know. But you are. You are. You've you speak like one, that's for sure. You eat like one. All the American stereotypes, I'm sure I fit 75% of them at least. Mm-hmm. So I get it, but I don't get it.
It's a funny thing, and it's such a pointless thing, which makes it that much. But it's such a prevalent thing that pops up.
Oh, for sure.
Especially with this boom of identity politics, which I guess we should wrap this up because this has little to do with sorry to bother you. But yeah, it's a funny thing.
But back to the film. I think he's trying to say that there's no good or bad person here. That we're all, even though she's the activist, even though Detroit is the one, standing up with her friends and, screw that company and has the moral character here.
She definitely doesn't.
She's still, she's still not. We're all messed up. We all have issues. We all have problems.
Yeah. I guess if there is an enemy here, it is the corporations, and this is kind of a wake up movie. Wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The beginning of Do the Right Thing. Samuel L. Jackson.
Ah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? When he's on the radio?
Yeah. Which is funny you bring up that movie because I got some vibes here.
Oh, absolutely. This is a very Spike Lee inspired movie. Absolutely. And I guess specifically from color, just the use of the way things are shot and stuff. And I'm not sure which Spike Lee reminds me of the most as far as color goes. Do the Right Thing, not so much, because it's Do the Right Thing is, trying to make it feel as hot as possible, which I think it does a really good job at. I don't want getting down that route. I love that movie. Those black guys in front of the red wall. Oh, one of the best shots ever caught on a camera.
I don't remember.
So good. They're sweating, the three guys, and they're watching the Korean grocery store owner.
That's right.
And they're like, "What the fuck are they doing here?" It's just, I love them. I love that shot. I love everything to do with those guys. What do you think about Cassius? Getting promoted, catching the eyes of the CEO of Worry Free, and he basically tried to trick him into being their leader, I guess. Yeah. It's hard to know how honest he was being, He seemed he didn't really have any reason to lie, he didn't really seem that malicious as far as like a character goes. So it can only kind of believe him, because he was a victim of his own creation. He was blinded by what Worry Free could offer. Speaking of Worry Free, I don't want to forget this. Worry Free's tagline before the movie was made, and it wasn't in the movie, was "Worry Free is helping make America great again."
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and he dropped that. Boots Riley dropped that because he didn't want it to call upon Trump, because this was written before Trump.
Oh.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
They should have kept that.
No, I don't think so, because it would have felt too Trumpy. It would have kind of capsuled it.
But just one line,
yes.
Don't get fixated on one line for the comedy of it.
They would.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm with you, because Trump's tagline "Make America Great Again" was just, it's so funny. It's so funny. He's just a ripoff of Reagan, right? Isn't that what Reagan basically said too?
I don't remember.
So it's like, it's doubly funny because it's already been used, And if Boots would have had this in there too, it would have just been, I think, that much more funny. But he didn't want to. He didn't want to peg it down too much, because it's not attacking any specific corporation, except I guess the ones that deal with dealing human beings, and no specific state or country per se. And so I gotta appreciate on that level that he didn't contain it, because I feel like you need to go, if you're gonna say that, you might need to go another extra mile in some other direction too, because it really wasn't the political side of this, like I guess capital P politics side of this, wasn't really a point at all, So bringing that in might be a little messy or uneven, but I don't know. It's hard to say, because everyone would have pegged it to be that, but then they would have tried to look for other Trump stuff, and it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So I don't know what would have happened. I don't know. Yeah,
that's true.
It's funny though. It is funny, because that's on his wiki page, quoted.
Oh, so, that's hilarious.
If you just look into it, and so I guess you can come to the same conclusion that Trump was somehow involved in this, in some kind of political sense. Not creatively, of course. Trump doesn't know how to fucking hold a pencil correctly, I'm sure. His tiny hands. Yes, did you know that?
What?
Trump has tiny hands?
Yeah. Yes.
He wears tiny gloves.
Oh my gosh. But you asked me how I felt about Cash's climb?
Yeah, Cassius's climb and kind of what he discovers. How do you feel about all that? Because I know this. How did you feel about Worry Free?
About the corporation? Okay, so to answer your multi-leveled question there.
However you want to take it.
As a multi-leveled question. Okay. So I like how it starts off with him lying to get this job. He's got this fake award, this fake plaque. The phone number he gives them is a is his friend's number who works there.
Which is so funny when he's looking through the mirror. I mean, looking through the window.
He waves at
what?
him.
Go. Why the fuck would?
I love that.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of my favorite, I guess, dialogues. He says, "You have initiative, and you can read." Which
I like that.
I love that. That cracked me up so much. I loved it.
And it's funny because lying got him the job, but not what he lied about. Just the fact that he lied got him the job. Was awesome. I love it so much. Such a good little intro, man.
Yeah, it really is. And, he was already kind of anxious about getting a job in the first place, which I'm sure many of us can relate to.
Everyone, every young person.
And then...
Everyone. Not young people, just
everyone. So, hey, good for him. He gets his job, and he's good at it after that this tip from,
Danny Glover.
Yeah. Use your white voice. He freaking dominates, and he's good at it. And God, how I can relate to him on this level that your job is your self-worth. You put in so much time at work, and this new job I have now, I put in my 8 hours and it's fine, but my previous job I put in 11 to 13 hours every day, and it was my life. It was the only thing I was, which I think is what happened to our boy here. His job there was who he was, which was his,
because he finally had purpose. He felt like,
yeah. And I like that because it's so relatable.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just have an older mentality, or because I feel like a lot of younger people don't quite feel that, especially with the choice here to make money from like social media and stuff. You don't have to go work for the man. You can be your own boss. You can make your own hours. You can, you can do something that you like. You pick what you identify with, and most of the times it's your hobbies, and you make money out of those, and that's freaking amazing. But until now, I haven't had the luxury of getting to do what I want. Now I have time to work
on some level, you worked so hard. You had a hard time refiguring out what you liked to do.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was crazy. It was go to work.
I should say you worked so hard for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
My bad.
Go to work, do my job for that long, come home, eat and sleep. And it was every day. I guess, the occasional Saturday, and then I got Sundays off. And I worked so hard, I barely used my PTO. It was, and I might take this back, but I loved it. I loved being important. I loved having that much responsibility, putting all my time and all my effort into this company, into my role, into my position. Everything I was going to do a great job at it. And, kind of like with cashier, it got taken advantage of. So I like his climb because that was very relatable to me.
Yeah.
And especially, he had his friends here, or his coworkers, who wanted him to fight with them. But he was like, "No, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to succeed. I'm finally good at something, and I'm going to keep doing this." Which, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about that.
It's super interesting and hard. It is super hard to tackle because you have a sense of purpose, and you're making money at it. You're growing in your, like, in a corporate career, or you're growing in your career, but at the same time, you do kind of have to negotiate in your head. Am I being taken advantage of? Do they appreciate me? Am I getting paid enough? And then maybe even on a different level, you're thinking, well, I don't have time for these other things I love, and I'm forgetting that I even enjoy these other things. And so you're kind of playing this dance where you have extreme purpose here, or at least perceived extreme purpose, and you're losing like a sense of self, like at home.
Which is, I think, the part of Mr. No Name, Mr. Bleep, like,
dang, mind blown.
He's
egoless. That's why he has no name.
He has no name.
He lost it. He lost himself. I didn't think about that. That's exactly what's going on here. He lost himself. That's why he's number one.
And I like that. I like that climb. I like that awareness of, holy shit, am I in that position? I've been in that position. I mean, even now with my job, I've been there. I think next week it'll be a year in my new position.
Wow.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm still struggling, not putting in all the time that I put in, compared to my previous job.
Yeah.
I'm struggling every day. I feel like I should be doing more. But at the same time, what I learned from my previous position was you are being taken advantage of. You aren't being appreciated. You aren't getting paid enough. So now I struggle with having to tell myself, okay, you can't give everything here because it's not good for you.
No, at the very least, a company has to meet you halfway.
Yeah. And, I've only been there a year. Hopefully, as I put in more time, it gets acknowledged and appreciated. So I'm hoping for that. But for Cash here, that was crazy. Him at the end. Oh, my God. First of all, those horse people were creepy as fuck. They were creepy. I mean, this is not a creepy movie. This is not a scary movie in the sense of, like, I guess, literal creepiness. Once you think about what's actually happening here, yeah, it's kind of creepy. It's even more real. So you should be creeped. But I think I closed my eyes at one point because I couldn't look at them. Oh God, it was crazy. Who came up with that concept? I don't know. I mean, they're playing with the work them like a horse, right? Or was there more meaning to the horse that I wasn't getting?
No, I think it's exactly that, because horses are these powerful animals that have helped form modern human society. We don't use them like we used to, but they were an essential cog in developing, the Western world.
Mm.
They were so essential that we had to bring them from Europe to America. America didn't have horses before Europeans.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
That's how essential they are. How essential they were.
Yeah, but when, what's his name? Is this Steve? The CEO dude? When he offered him to take that money to be the king of the
horsemen. What were the names?
Equestrians?
Equisapien.
Yeah, Equisapiens. I wasn't sure if he was going to take it or not.
And I think that's why Steve just gave him, the mutagen, the
fake Coke.
The fake Coke to turn him into one right away, because I think he figured that he was going to say yes anyways. So they thought they had one in the bag, that this is going to be one of our own on the inside to help. He's so passionate about work. He loves working just like you did at your old job, where you were that horse.
Which is funny because I feel like if it would have been my old boss in that position, he would have been so sure too.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I think that's an important point, that these corporations are so blinded by their own dog shit that horse shit, I mean, they don't see the malpractice. They don't see the ethical kind of fuckery that goes around with, reaping the insane benefits that your people provide you. That your workers are the sole reason for why your corporation is the way it is,
Yep.
or is making the money the way it is. I should say. A lot of times your administrative, executive people are the reason for the culture, not the workers themselves. Yeah, they really drop you in. They drop you in a deep end, a weird deep end. The movie's always kind of in the deep end, and this bizarre, but they really they somehow surprise you really good, like really unsettlingly at the end there, don't they?
Yes, and then it's funny because when he did the coke or whatever, snorted the coke. I don't know how you
the
phrase.
Horse coke.
Yeah, do you do coke? You snort coke?
Yeah, you can do coke.
Consume coke?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
You do coke. When he did the coke, he, I guess saw the horse people. It clicked in his head after he watched that tutorial video or whatever propaganda video. And then...
Onboarding. It's
an
onboarding video.
The onboarding video.
Call him as you see him.
You're fucking right. Well, after he saw that and it clicked in his head... what happened, he was like, holy shit, I don't feel high, this is you gave me the drug. And he was like, nah man, it's just your adrenaline. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just your adrenaline, dude, you're good. Like, okay, I'm calm. I'm I took the bait. I believed the CEO. And I was like, okay, whew, close one. It's just so much adrenaline, I don't feel it. All right, cool. And then at the very, very end, he fucking turns. And
just when you think they kind of win.
Yeah. That was crazy.
It is crazy because they give you, I mean, how much time is in between him snorting the coke or snorting the horse coke and him shredding the garage and, seeing the snout on him.
Yeah, there's a lot of time.
10-15 minutes.
A lot of time.
Maybe a little more even.
I think he's in the clear.
Yeah.
But he was not in the clear.
I like how there's only like 3 or 4 channels on TV. You have your news, you have your reality TV kind of thing, and then you have, I guess, another reality TV type thing. It's basically it. There might be one more thing. I think it was just the 3. It was like the slap game or the slap show.
Yeah, I got the shit kicked out of me.
Yeah. And I love how that it's a little would have been hard to do it through the internet, to show that through what the internet is. So I had to give them a little bit of slack there because it's the TV, and TV is just not effective in that same, like, it's just not used like that. Like, that felt like that could have been in a movie or show 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I get, it's not hard to get. It's, when I think of TV, I think of reality TV in the news. I think of this radical ass crime shit you hear on the news. I think I almost exclusively think about the news, to be honest. And then when I think about the internet, I just think about basically reality TV, which, all these different influencers and stuff, it's just different forms of reality TV doing stupid shit.
Yep.
Like getting the shit beat out of you. And I love that he has to go on. He feels like, I should say, he has to go on one of these shows.
To get people to listen.
To get people to just see him. Good luck getting them to listen. Even the ones that are watching the show aren't listening to anything. But just to see him, and he shows the world, the horse people, and Steve Rogers, is that his name?
Steve Lift. The CEO?
Yeah.
Steve Lift.
And Steve Lift is in the video, and no one cares. Of course, people, half the people are going to think it's fake, and then half the other people just aren't even, they just don't know what they're even looking at. They don't care. I don't know. It's just, how do you not, in those moments, just have a freak out? I mean, of course, you can't, right? Like, what is any one person going to do, right? And also, at the same time, you can't let something like that just destroy society, which it kind of does at the end there, which is just gonna be a funny thing. I don't know if he's trying to say something that.
Yeah, well, I I don't know exactly what he's saying either, but I do think he's trying to say something. Especially with having Cash covered in poop while he's trying to tell the world this super important, very important news.
Yeah. I guess the world would remember Cash. They would remember him being covered in shit over seeing the video, you know? And then I guess he's also saying the links that the world just needs to go to, the shit that it needs to, you know, endure for some kind of revolution to happen. Like the Equisapiens taking over Regal View or whatever, the city or whatever, you know, kind of. We didn't get a big perspective on the matter. We just saw Cash looking through the back of a police van or something. And the Equisapiens were murdering people? Were they?
They were murdering the
cops.
The cops, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's another scene or another part that kind of plays along with that. And I think he's just trying to make fun of social media really here. Unless there's something more than I'm missing. But when that girl throws that Coke can at him.
Yeah.
And then she becomes famous. And she's got ads and this deal and music video, I think. I don't know. She's good. She don't need to go back and fight for the Regal View. She don't need to fight with those guys anymore. She's set. She's good.
And it's important, I think, that she became famous right after Cash denied his promotion, his horse promotion.
His horse promotion.
And that there's kind of like this element of plantness. She's a plant. She's a plant in one sense that she was all of a sudden bombarded by advertisement and corporation to come, you know, blow her life up and stuff in like a influencer monetary kind of way.
But she's the reason Cash even got to go on the show in the first place. They only let him on the show because
which is a great irony.
Yeah, which is because he's the guy who got hit. So, it's awesome.
He became famous in one sense through almost a cancel culture type thing that allowed the game show to kind of capitalize on this, you know, this has been, you know, because we see that with every crossover influencer, every famous person that goes on the Ellen show or whatever late night show you want to talk about, you know, and it's just this like jerk off circle of famous people, and then you have these people who try to say something like Joaquin Phoenix at the 2020 Oscars talking about how we're killing our world, and just no one cares. That's one of the most dystopian things I've ever seen on TV. One of the most Black Mirror type things, but you know, much better because it's real. Is Joaquin Phoenix just calling out humanity as a whole.
Yeah.
And almost crying up there. And everybody just was just not, they were just fucking sitting there like a bunch of fucking monkeys and
like awkward. Who invited this guy?
Yeah. And he's only, and I know this is something, you know, every conspiracy theorist has this trouble with, that they think they're saying the truth, and a lot of times they are, but just no one fucking listens, and so they feel crazy, you know, and then it only embraces and embellishes their fucking conspiratorial mind and makes them say more radical shit, and then they look fucking crazy eventually, because they say more and more radical shit, because they're never told to shut the fuck up. Not because the first time they were speaking the truth, so no one could tell them to shut the fuck up, right? Yeah. And so they got crazier and crazier. You can probably look at Kanye for this.
Oh my gosh, what a great example.
One of the great Kanye things was when he was trying to deconstruct the Black Lives Matter movement by wearing White Lives Matter t-shirts, and because he was just trying to tell you that, you know, BLM has become this corrupt organization taking advantage of people who support Black lives, you know, and I mean, it's kind of genius to me, but you know, he has said some crazy shit, but I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying is conspiracy theorists often will go to radical extremes because they're not listened to. Because I don't know what that is. Like during the Joaquin Phoenix little speech or whatever you want to call it. Have you seen it?
No. I need to watch it.
It looks like something that'd be in an Ari Aster movie or a David Lynch movie. Like it's so fucked up. And I think there's even a moment where he doesn't explicitly, but he basically passively calls every one of these people out about them just sitting there and doing nothing. And these are the people who can do something. And they just don't because they're robots.
Yeah.
It's one of the I think it is the craziest thing I've ever seen people do. And of course you're gonna, I don't know if they did at the time, but I'm sure hundreds and thousands of people did say that, it was scripted. What a sad dystopian world you live in if you feel like that was scripted. If you think corporations are that self-aware,
Yeah.
And if it is, if I ever, I don't want to be part of a world that's that deeply corrupted.
Well, where are you moving to then?
Hell.
All right. I'll see you there.
All right. I'm gonna get in a submarine and go to the Titanic.
Oh my gosh.
Join those guys.
Fake news.
That's some crazy shit.
What the fuck were you saying before that?
One thing I really like about this movie is how the government really is not a major player in this. Because I think one of the interesting things about our world is how powerful corporations seem to be, more so than the government, especially when they're trying to take advantage of the governments, like we're seeing with the Microsoft Activision deal in the video game world.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing existentially kind of threatening here, right? We're dealing with video games, but we are dealing with something that deals with a lot of money that moves around in the world. And I think it just goes to show you how corporations can walk all over governments and trying to spin. I mean, you've even talked about this yourself. Spin stories such a way, and only say the minimum of whatever you're talking about to just get to the next question.
Yeah, I've talked about this a lot in my my career field. The medical device industry. And that book I read, The Danger Within Us, about how the FDA essentially ignores all these complaints from people about medical devices going wrong, or doesn't track everything as well as it should, just because there's so much money made here. Not everything is not tested like it should be. And that's devices going inside people. And it's probably one of the scariest books I've read. And I don't know if, some of my Harry Potter books have tear marks on them, but this book definitely had tear marks on me. It was just it was like my stomach was hurting. It was so jarring. Like, it's true. But, how many people have actually read that book?
Yeah, how many people care?
How many people
even the
care?
People who read the book, how many people even give a shit?
And they don't. I think working in...
How do you give a shit? I don't even know.
I think working in quality kind of makes you give a shit.
Yeah, I'm glad. Good for you, man. I'm glad. It should.
Yes, it definitely should.
How many people can you say that about other people who work in quality, though?
Not that many.
That should be like the first gate you gotta get through is, do you care about a sense of ethics in this business? How do you care that this is gonna be something that goes specifically for a medical device company? Do you care that this thing's gonna go in people? Like, that should be something you're very passionate about.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you have in the quality department, you're the bad guy. You're the one who tells somebody no because...
You should have a very antagonistic relationship with the bigger company.
And it's just crazy. It's crazy because you're in these meetings and they're like, can we just do it this way? It's like, no. Not only is it just wrong ethically and it's scientifically stupid, but you have procedures we have to go by. You have these specs you have to go by. And people just get so mad. They get so mad. It's like, why not? Why can't we do it this way? Because it's just you're trying to bypass regulations that are in there for a reason. But I mean,
that's when you say, do you want to kill people?
And that's the problem. I don't think like 95% of people in this field are actively thinking about what their device is doing.
No, yes, I think you're right. I mean, I think that applies to so many companies too, and it's so sad that you get firsthand fucking experience with that side of corporations, modern corporations, with medical devices, because those are demonstrably traceable to fucking up people's lives.
Yeah.
More so than if they would have just fucking amputated the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Maybe there's some detachment there, especially with engineers. You know, don't really want to call anyone out, but engineers work with the device itself. They don't think about the patient. They don't think about the person.
It's so important.
It's like they're detached.
There should be pictures of all around the facility. There should be pictures of what can go wrong if you fuck up these devices. Gruesome ass pictures. Just like we need public executions back.
Yeah. We
need that shit and these different firms. You guys, the quality team is almost kind of like internal journalists, where you guys are like, I guess, internal auditors and internal journalists, because you force these people to think and question their own motives and their own ways of working.
Which is so funny.
Or should, theoretically.
Why are you not questioning your own motives and your own...
Well, that's why you guys are important, because sometimes we do lose sight of that, you know? We fall into these roles and everything. That's why it's important to have departments like quality departments and have them in tip-top shape, and to have them be the best of the best of the best, you know, for what they do, to remind everybody to stay on their ass, you know, about this. This is important, you guys. We can't, like, this is going to fucking kill people, you know? And if other journalists, I know there's probably not a lot of journalists interviewing people in the medical device world, because there's not, you know, there's no PR, there's not, I shouldn't say no, but there's not as much PR shit as there is movie world or video game world or book world, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of journalists involved in that because there's just endless amounts of fucking, you know, consumerism, right?
Or one's too real. No one wants to know about that.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear about my grandma that got a hip.
I know it. But you're gonna play The Last of Us and watch Ellie fucking mutilate people and cut their fucking heads off and stuff? You're fine with that. All right. You're gonna watch, I don't know, Evil Dead Rise and see these bodies morph together and someone get their leg cheese grated? You're into that, though.
I'm into that.
All right. You're gonna read Stephen King's 55th fucking crazy horror book? Okay. That's okay. But you don't want to hear about the medical world. The one that involves your fucking grandmother, you know?
Yeah. And
okay.
And a medical device is not just an implant that goes inside you. You know, a hip, a shoulder, a pacemaker, a cochlear implant, whatever. There's also things you don't think about. You know, like the tray that all your stuff holds. Or, maybe some kind of alcohol wipe that the
machines
surgeon has to use. The machines, yeah. Or just even a screw. You don't need the whole tibia there, but you need a screw.
The gloves.
So that's not even like, yes, gloves.
The masks.
So that's not even your grandma now in question. That's every fucking person that has gone to a hospital.
Why did I say grandma? Because grandma's going to the hospital, you know? They're always, grandma's always going to the fucking hospital.
And, you know, you think medical device, you think kind of older people or people that have been hurt.
Because of the hips, probably. And the knees,
the hip. Yeah.
And then when I think of young people going to the hospital, it's always a screw because of broken legs or whatever.
Right. And, you know, we've had some devices come in that they're so tiny, like they're for little kids and babies, and it's so sad to see those sometimes. But it's everybody that needs some sort of medical device at one point in their lives. And you have people here that aren't regulating, that aren't thinking about.
And we can.
Yeah.
This isn't the 1910s, you know? We can do this. This shit is not out of question. We have the technology to really take care of people now on that level.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, in that one, I guess it's a series of episodes where that one guy in Downton Abbey where he had to wear that brace.
Yep.
That fucked up his leg. Like, we don't have to deal with that, But we do on a different level still because of malpractice.
Yep. Because
of laziness.
And next week, we have audits. Everyone hates audits. Everyone just hates it. They hate the word. They don't even want to say it. But I love audits. You have a chance.
Perfect quality person, right?
That's why I lose sleep over my job. No, not really, not anymore. But audits are the perfect time for someone to come in and ask you what the fuck you're doing and if you're doing it correctly. And if you have a finding, great. You have a problem and you need to fix it. And I know findings are so bad. They look so bad for your company, blah, blah, blah. But, oh well.
But it's kind of like when people die or something, right? Can we not pride ourselves on fixing our mistakes more than finding them? Can we not be happy? Like, can that not be this marketing tool? If that's, if we're worried about PR and shit and optics, we fix our mistakes. I like that. That. Taking accountability. That's cool shit. One of the coolest things that happens in the video game world is when a company, it sucks, but when a game is released and it fucking sucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
No Man's Sky, when Final Fantasy XIV first came out, when Rainbow Six Siege, I don't know, there's not too many big ones, but there's a few big ones out there that are like that. No Man's Sky, I guess, is one of the canonical examples, but they spend years and years fixing it, and then they have this, like, redemption arc. We've named it that. Redemption arc.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And it's cool. It's like an underdog story, right? But it's weird, and I know it's even weirder when you root for a mega corporation like AT&T or some big medical industry. What's a big medical industry? Where's that one in Japan? Olympus?
Yeah. I don't know if they're in Japan, but yeah.
Oh,
Olympus
yeah.
is one.
Or Boeing or whatever. I know it's a little maybe stranger to, and on one level, root for that, but I don't know. Is it even rooting to, like, want your company to do better? I don't know. I feel like that's fine. That's not rooting to me. You should just want that for everything and everyone. I want a government to do better. I want racists to do better. I want pedophiles to do better, Yeah. I want everyone incarcerated and for whatever they did to do fucking better. I don't care if they're terrorists. I don't care if they didn't do anything at all. I mean, they shouldn't be in prison if they didn't do anything. But I want my mom to do better. I want this motherfucking cat next to me to do better. I really want him to do better. I want companies to do better.
Take some pride in that.
Yes. And so, I don't know. We're getting off topic again, aren't we?
Yes.
Sorry
guys.
to bother you.
Sorry to bother you.
You like that?
I love that.
I love this movie, and I think a mark of a really amazing movie is a movie that can, and I don't think we've really talked about a movie quite like this, that it opens so many doors of conversation.
Mm-hmm. There's a little bit here for everything.
Beau's Afraid doesn't open up a lot of doors. It opens up one really big door. Right? Or it opens up a few doors, of course. Every movie should open up a few doors. But this movie opens up so much because it taps into such the modern world. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that taps into the modern world quite like this. And it's so, at face value, this movie is just fucking magical to watch. I think it's aesthetically beautiful. I love how everybody looks. I love Lakeith's or I'm just calling him Darius.
Cash.
Cash's hair. I love his look. I love his when he has to go through his suits and stuff, and I even like Tessa Thompson's look. I don't want to shit too much on Tessa Thompson, but Tessa Thompson sucks. And everything she's in, I got her mixed up with Michelle Rodriguez. I don't know if I told you that before.
Oh,
I thought they were the same person. But I've been recently corrected by my mother that they're not the same person.
How did you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
But so Tessa Thompson, she's the one in Thor, and she's horrendous 9 times out of 10. But here she does such a good job because I almost feel like, I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say I almost feel like she's not in on the joke, that she's being made fun of. But I think that might be just an element of a great performance. It's either a great performance or a great level of arrogance. Ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was a nice little sweet spot. I don't know if Boots Riley's taking advantage of it. It kind of reminds me of Shelley, the girl from Shining, The Shining with Jack Nicholson. I can't remember the actor's name.
Oh, the main girl,
the mom, yeah. Where she wasn't let in on how this production was gonna go, and so they scared the shit out of her in the movie, which is legendary, and it comes off over dramatic. I know you said that.
Yep.
Which is awesome. I think it's awesome. I don't know if you think it's awesome after knowing that was real, but it's awesome, I think. Because it does come off theatrical, you know? It's so extra. It's fucking awesome. And Tessa Thompson kind of comes off like a perfect, like Black American obsessed with change and her, Black African roots and wanting to make change, but it just doesn't have a manifesto. Yeah. And I think she's great. I'm never going to say that again, I'm sure. But I think Tessa Thompson in this is great.
Yeah, I think this film has a lot to talk about, like you said. And, there's things we haven't covered that I don't think we'll get to cover. But, we have a romantic element here between Cash and Detroit. And, they break up. She goes and hooks up with Squeeze here. Something, there's something to talk about there. And then we have our CEO, Steve, who's, I don't know why he's wearing a skirt quilt? No, what's that Q word? Kilt. Why is he wearing that? I don't know. I'm sure there's something there that I haven't analyzed.
Well, I think that's borderline making fun of
like hipster kind of
billionaires wearing like sweatpants and just wearing whatever the fuck they want.
Oh my gosh, okay.
I think that's borderline.
Okay.
That
being laid back here.
We're just making fun of, like
what?
It just don't fucking matter what you wear.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta think about that. We have our Donald Glover here wearing the TV show shirt. What did I say? I got the shit kicked out of me. He's wearing that shirt from that show, I think.
Did you see Donald Glover?
What did I say?
Who's wearing the shirt?
Yeah, the old guy. Donald Glover.
Oh, Danny Glover.
Danny Glover. Oh my god.
Oh, that's funny.
That's hilarious.
That's right.
Yeah, he's wearing that shirt.
That's funny.
There's small elements here that you can definitely talk about.
Good shit. I love this movie. It's a lot. It's a very full to the brim film, but it's a great film in the sense that it's got this it fills this great space between the individuals of the audience, and it creates this surreal conversation piece. I've never seen anything quite like it on that level. I think I've never had a film say so much, or rather forcing people to say so much, like after the film,
Yes.
And it's just so surreal. There's such a deep meta, I don't even want to say commentary, but just this conversation starter that this film occupies my mind. It's so cool in that way. I cannot think of a film like this at all. Like, most of the films I like deal with the human condition, and they are multifaceted in that way because the human condition is, endlessly interesting. But it's not, the human condition is not a conversation starter,
Mm-hmm.
It's not a think piece like that, It's the human condition films kind of want me to go, they make me want to go read philosophy.
Yes.
Right? They make me want to go read memoirs, right? They make me want to read people's thoughts.
Yeah, they make you want to kind of introspect a little.
Yeah. This film makes me want to organize on some level, not for any objective, but really want to get something out of a collective, which is maybe an ironic thing to say because Boots Riley's a communist.
Oh my gosh.
But it's fucking cool. This movie's super cool. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a movie that I definitely appreciate after I think about what's going on here and, ask the questions I need to ask and think to myself, and then I appreciate it more. Maybe a second watch would really benefit here, like it did for me for The Whale. I mean, The Whale, I wasn't feeling it. Then the second time we watched it, oh my god, did I cry? And did I just feel everything?
I can't believe you didn't feel The Whale the first time.
I know. I must have been in a weird state of mind.
Yeah. I mean, I love when you bring that point up occasionally, where time and place in your life are so important. Even day to day is so important. I love it so much. It's always a little frustrating when you want to get something, when you start something and you want to get into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a movie, game, book, music. I mean, everyone experiences, fatigue from listening to the same song 10,000 times, right? You're like, oh, I want to, can't find anything,
Mm-hmm.
You love all the music that you're skipping through.
Yep. But
you just can't, nothing's getting its hooks in you. Or, this game's great. Elden Ring is great. Red Dead Redemption 2 is great. Obviously, it's a masterpiece, right? But you start it up and you're like 2 hours in, you're like, I'm fucking bored by this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever movie, right? Whatever David Lynch movie that your ass should be appreciating, you're like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to get on my phone.
Yep.
And God forbid he sees you do that, he's going to fucking shoot you in the head. But tomorrow you might love that David Lynch movie. It's awesome. I like that. There needs to be I can see a really great movie dealing with exactly that.
Genius. But yeah, I mean, I would have just put it in my head as, oh, I don't like this movie. I don't like The Whale, so I'm just never going to watch it again. Until you have a fresh perspective, and it's like, nope, you just give it another try. Okay. Oh my god, I love it. So, I mean, even with the Spider-Man movie, the
oh yeah,
Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, you thought it was Kitty.
Yeah.
And just whatever.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can whether I'm holding your hand into forcing you doing that, what here and there through movies, I guess at least. I'm glad you are aware of that.
I
first
think
and
you're
foremost,
just,
and I'm glad that I can be there while that happens.
Yeah, you're just a great reminder of, were you in the right headspace when you watched it? You know what? Probably not. So, okay, let me give it another try. It's always refreshing having someone to make you think. You know,
thank you.
Have a friend that fucking challenges you, just doesn't accept your bullshit.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and it's always a little, like, personally kind of frustrating when I know I'd enjoy something and I just can't get into it because I'm playing like this self-aware game where why is it not tomorrow? Like, why does it matter that it's tomorrow if I'm into it? I'm just like, but it is.
Some
things just don't click right away. And then, it's like, it's like another kind of meta level of that is like specifically in video games, right? When you're facing a boss and you're getting your ass handed to you for an hour or two, and you're so mad and you're fuming, right? And you're get a knock on the door and you fucking blow up, and but then and you don't kill him that night, and you go to bed, and then the next evening, next morning, whatever, you pick up the controller and you kill him the first time. You just needed some time to kind of marinate on it, right? It's a funny thing.
Do I fucking know that?
I know you do.
Oh my gosh.
It's a funny thing. I love it so much, and I guess it is challenging, but you just need to remind yourself that sometimes you're not in the mood for a cheeseburger. Maybe you want nachos, and you just need to embrace that. And then maybe in a few days you'll be in a mood for a cheeseburger.
Yep. Well said.
Yeah. But you shouldn't, But just because you are always in the mood for a cheeseburger doesn't mean you should always eat cheeseburger either. Eat a nice chicken sandwich. Eat some fish. Broaden your palate.
Yep.
I know it's tough. I used to hate broccoli, but now it's all right.
And now I still hate it, but I'll eat it.
Yeah. It is challenging. When I first saw Mad Max, I didn't like it. The new Mad Max Fury Road, I didn't like it. And then when I rewatched it, I mean, it's great. It's an amazing movie. It's probably in my top 25, maybe top 50. It's hard to say, but it's definitely my top 50 probably.
Okay.
It's an awesome movie.
That's a movie I watched. Also, to be fair, I think I fell asleep. But I watched a good bit of it. I watched like an hour, and just didn't like it. I just wasn't into it. So that might require a rewatch here.
Mad Max Fury Road is awesome. The most recent one. The other ones are.
Yeah, I don't know which one I watched. I thought it was a new one.
They're old. They were probably at a time the most famous Australian-made movies.
They're Australian-made? Holy
yes,
crap.
I think the directors of those is a guy named George Miller. I think that's his name. Very influential films, though, too. They helped influence the game Fallout.
Okay. I
think Fallout's gone on to be probably many times bigger than Mad Max, I would say. But, yeah, Fallout was the convergent baby of Blade Runner and Mad Max. That's where Fallout came out.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Well, do you have any final thoughts on this film?
I guess final thoughts. I want to tell you my two favorite scenes from the film. And they're small and silly. That's probably why I like them. The first one is my second favorite, where they're in the bed and they're frustrated with each other because Cash is using his white voice and Detroit wants him to, be with friends and do the right thing. And I think one of them takes the cover from the other, the blanket, their cover, and the other one snatches it, and then they snatch it back, and then they're just fighting
for nothing.
And it goes on for quite a bit, them just pulling it from each other, and they're just so frustrated. And in the end, he manages to grab it and just falls back on his butt, but he got the blanket. I just thought that was so playful with what they were actually fighting about.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good scene. My favorite scene, and this made me laugh so much when we saw it. And he said, it's when he goes to get gas, and he asks for 40 on pump 2, and then he gives her 40 cents.
Yeah, they show you how broke Cash is.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. That was so funny. And when he said 40, I was like, wow, when does this movie take place? Like, that's such a small car to be putting 40 in. I'm just quickly going through these thoughts here, and then you hear the change cling, and then you see it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's 40 fucking cents. Oh my god, he can only afford 40 cents on his car. So that was awesome. It was such a good scene. It was so funny. But those are my final thoughts, my favorite scenes.
Yeah, the setup from the garage all the way to Regal View, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. There's There's a lot of good storytelling here. There's a lot of good character within the characters here. There's so much good. I even like the girl that you don't like, where she was in the elevator and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a little awkward, but I don't know. It fits. It works for me.
It didn't work for me. Felt forced, I guess. Like a forced humor kind of thing. Like, give me more of the 40 on Pump 2, you know? Not this.
Yeah. Again, I think Bruce Riley that was an experience he had. He had a little bit of success, and then he had someone who didn't even acknowledge him all of a sudden was attracted to him. I think that was a little personal. Can't help but to see it from that angle. Especially knowing he came from a telemarketing beginnings.
Okay. I
wouldn't be surprised if these people looked a little bit like all those three guys, the three managers, or the three head honchos.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they looked a little bit like the guys that were part of his life.
I mean, if I were making a movie and I was including, you know, previous experiences with managers, I would definitely make them look like
a little bit of a caricature of them, right? Got to.
For sure.
Nothing you can get sued over, but just enough.
Just enough.
I love it. I love this movie. And I'm glad my buddy showed it to me. Yeah, it's hard to see every great movie, you know? I'm missing many great movies. I've never seen The Godfather.
I doubt you're missing out.
We're missing a lot of great movies. We'll get to them maybe at some point. But I'm glad this one was put on my radar sooner than later, and I'm forever gonna be grateful. And I'm glad my friend also got to experience this film, because it's a good film.
Yeah.
I think everyone should experience this. This should be on everybody's radar who is interested in the creativity and power of what film can do, especially in the modern world, or, you know, not pre, I don't know, 90s, pre 2000s. I don't know. How far do we go back? What's modern film today? Or contemporary film, I should say. What's contemporary? Where do we start? Any 2018, is that well, that's this year. I mean, that's the year the Sorry to Bother You came out. Is 2010, is that where contemporary films start? What do you say?
I'm gonna go back further.
Okay.
Maybe 2000.
Okay. I'm just trying to give you a little bit. I want you to define that for me. Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that.
What about The Ring? Is The Ring too far back? Final Destination too far back? Shrek?
No, I think those are good.
Well, thank you for watching this film with me. We'll have to rewatch it in the future.
Yep.
What would you rate this on your letterbox?
I'd probably give it, just initially, a 3.5. Maybe a rewatch would bump that up. There's nothing really wrong with it, though, so I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But just initially, 3.5 definitely could bring it up.
Yeah. I think a 3.5 is not a sign of anything wrong with it. It's just how much it speaks to you at that point. I think once you hit that 3 mark, it's just how much does it speak to you? You know? Yeah.
And I guess movies that kind of leave me feeling unsettled speak to me a little bit more, which this did with the horse people especially. So, I don't know. Kind of a bump there. And
I couldn't wait for you to see that part.
Oh my god, that was so disturbing. And maybe films that make me cry get a little bit of a bump. Like, you know, if you're getting that out of me, you did good.
Well, it's got a 3.7 on Letterboxd. You seem to be pretty close to, pretty much in the average, medium part. Just letting you know, it doesn't mean anything.
I'm average, I guess.
I gave it a 4.5.
Whoa! Is that the highest we've heard here?
No, Hereditary is 4.5, and Beau's Afraid is 4.5.
Okay, so 4.5. Maybe. All right. Okay.
Well, thank you for watching this film with me. I can't wait to watch the next film with you. It may or may not have a little yellow mouse.
Yellow mouse? Oh.
Until next time, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you had any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines signing off.